Hello there. Welcome back to F1 Manager and Alpine. Hopefully we'll have a good time here. I apologize for the hiatus. It's been a very tiring week for me. We are currently lacking people at work, which is making that issue a lot worse. And I've just not had excess energy really to sit down and record and make a video. Apologies for this, but it is the reality of the situation. Hopefully next weekend's a little bit better, but I don't really have any guarantees here. And it is just how life is sometimes, but I'm fine. I'm doing okay. It's just generally that I am a little bit exhausted, honestly. But with that said, we're going to jump back into Alpine here, who is currently in a good position, I dare say. We are 90 points out of Red Bull. We are nearing the halfway point of the season. And with everything going our way here, things should be looking fairly good. Now, I've had a couple of problems trying to record this as well. In particular, my game has been chugging for this save only. So I've kind of removed some of the mods, reinstalled. Let's see if that fixed it. But yeah, it's been a little bit frustrating. Let's just put it like that. Now, if I remember correctly, last time around, we had the chassis and sideboard research finished, and I am indeed correct. And if we check the board here, I believe we already did the rear wing research. We did. And if I'm not mistaken, we're currently putting safety into the front wing. So what we should do is probably put some safety into the underfloor, and maybe the suspension get some of the tire preservation back. Let's see here. I think what we're going to do is just do the underfloor first. And what exactly is it that gets hit by 70? It's actually the rear wing. Honestly, let's do another on the rear wing first, because it gets hit the hardest. And then we'll split the last two periods between probably the underfloor and the suspension. I think that's a good bet. That should work out just fine. Now, other than that, we will focus on the medium speed cornering on the rear wing. It doesn't give you a huge amount, but it gives more than enough for us to put a little bit of effort into it. So this is what we'll do. It's not, again, it's not a huge game by any means of the imagination here, but it should get the job done. And we are going to keep on researching the chassis and the sideboards. We're going to try and do as many projects as possible for both of these, but we'll have to see how many we actually manage to do. They both do need a lot of love, and we'll be focusing performance at least initially. It is still pretty decent gains there on the chassis just from a regular research project. That should not be a problem at all. But yeah, I think with that we're sorted. I'm just going to double check it. How are we on parts? We are caught up. We're actually excess parts here, which is good at this point of the season. And we're actually just going to jump directly into Austria here. We'll have to see how many races I can do today. A little bit pressed for time. So maybe it's just one, maybe two. That would be, the best if we could do 2 races. But as mentioned here, I am a tad bit pressed for time. So let's see how far we get. Let's go ahead and make another suspension. And as I said here, I want to build up 6 of each at this point, and we'll just allow them to decay over the rest of the season, if you will. And when I say decay, I mean we'll just allow that number to get lower and lower. And basically, I'm building up stock now to prepare for any big crash in future, which kind of probably sounds weird, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade the team hub. We're going to go ahead and upgrade the race sim because they are both degrading, and we have the finance to just upgrade them. And in terms of operations there, Wet Center can get decayed for now. We're going to refurbish the memorabilia. The weather center is not a huge focus for me personally at the moment. We do need to do something with these things, but I would rather upgrade the car parts test and suspension sim. The factory we're going to need to refurbish at one point, but let's not do that now, because it is going to end up being a negative mentality modifier, which we do want to avoid if possible. Yeah, just to keep myself occupied here, how are we looking for contracts? Looks like we are fine, and none of these guys are going to get poached, which means that we have a couple of seasons here now with chill. And as you can see here, the game still believes that we have a terrible car. So let's take advantage of that as we head into Austria. Let's see how the sprint weekend goes. So we're getting a fairly interesting weekend here, and what I mean by that is we're getting heavy rain for the sprint, and in turn maybe for qualifying. And with that said, there's no heavy rain here in the sprint itself, it's just a drizzle, and that does make things a little bit spicy, if you will. Track graphs here is kind of telling us that we might have to go to lap 17-ish. 14 is probably 14, 15 is probably when we would like to do the switch. And that's kind of also what the initial strategy here is telling us. So I think we're just gonna run the softs here, probably a little bit more normal. Run them standard. I think that is going to be what we do. And then we just burn them up towards the end or when we need to try and make an overtake. Now, I did make a mistake here while I was simming, which means that we can't change the car setup. And I simmed qualifying because I did not pay enough attention. And, well, sometimes mistakes happen. In this case, it definitely has. But it's going to be an interesting, sprint weekend simply just because of the fact that it is going to be a pit stop one with rain. And if we get that pit stop done at the correct time, this could be huge for us. Let's just put it like that. It can actually be race defining. I see a medium tire. The rest are all on softs. There is some further down the grid order. But for Gasly, the big one here is going to be if he can improve his positioning. And Ocon has already done that. We're going to turn high overtake here. Why are you so slow, Ocon?
Let's keep the pressure on, mate.
You are running, both of you are running aggressive or deploy, if you will. But it doesn't look like you are using it, honestly. And I guess that makes sense. There we go, that was a lot better. Gasly up to 11th position, 10th now. Overtaking 4 people within the first few corners. That's actually insane. And I am a little bit worried here that Hülkenberg has elected to go on hard tires. That's actually kind of insane if you think about it from a different perspective as well. Why on earth would you elect to go on hard tires in a situation like this? But he's done it. And for Gasly, I would love for him to get by Hülkenberg. Oh, I guess we are... Yes, I did cut that deploy a little bit too early. As it is, again, very, very powerful this year. But yeah, let's see what we can do. I think we are going to get points here. The question is, are we going to get more points than Red Bulls? And I think the answer to that question is going to be probably not, honestly. And we will have to try and create a little bit of a gap here now before we go into the rainy period. So far, it is still lap 15 or so. It has moved by 1 lap, though. So do keep that in mind from our pre-race expectations. And I am pushing the fuel a little bit more aggressively because we are getting rain. I'm expecting to be able to take advantage of that. We do also want Ocon here probably to push up a little bit more. Close the gap with Gasly in front. Run a little bit of attack here. And if we can, leave Russell and Alonso behind in that same vein. That is probably going to be a little bit more difficult though. But at least we have caught up to Gasly. And we're now in a DRS train. With Sainz being the lead driver of that train. Okay, that is actually acceptable. Is Ocon falling off again? I think it's fine. We are going to run a little bit of top up here. Try and harvest. Gasly gets an overtake done. He's actually pretty insane here. He's probably already reached the peak of his confidence. So qualifying lower can benefit you extremely in this game. Simply due to the fact that you get that confidence buff. In Gasly's case here now, he has basically reached 300 stats. And again, Gasly's an 85 average rated driver. But he now has 100 braking. He has 100 cornering. He has 100 overtaking. So mentality and confidence buffs stacked on top of each other are insanely powerful. And I don't think there's any good reason why they should be as powerful as they are. For Gasly right now, World Championship material. No question about it. And the weather is still lap 15. So for the time being, we should be okay. Russell develops a mechanical fault. I'm wondering if Gasly can chase down Norris, though. That's going to be the big one here. We are getting more and more of a tire advantage, too, which is, of course, helping with the overtakes. But I don't know if that's going to be enough here. As the Ferrari does come back on us, but we're just sticking around the outside. At least we didn't get pushed off track. And we are running faster than cars ahead of us. But yeah, basically the question here is very simple. When should I start pushing? Are we going to pit lap 15? Are we going to pit lap 17? Or are we going to need to go a little bit further in before it actually becomes wet enough on track for it to make a real difference here? That's kind of the big one here for when we get more and more aggressive. I think honestly for Gasly, going attack now wouldn't be a bad idea. And we can actually check what we can expect from doing that. You like this new feature? We should be fine. Like, even if the rain arrives a few laps later, going attack now and getting this sort of degradation should put us somewhere around lap 18. Maybe I'm a little bit, sorry, 17. Maybe I'm a little bit optimistic with that. But we should be able to run attack until lap 17-ish. So we'll do just that. And if the DRS train proves to be too much, we'll tune them down. But we do kind of need to get a go on here. We need to try and catch the cars in front, as they apparently have bullied Piastri a little bit because he's fallen back to us. That's not good. I want Piastri to score points. I want Piastri to score points more than I want Norris to score points, but he's now the driver of this train. Wet weather is now 7 minutes out. Okay, so that's when it starts raining. It's not necessarily when we're going to be pitting. We're just going to speed things up here a little bit. We are creating more gaps to the cars behind, which is going to be great for the pit scenario. Gasly up into a podium position, side by side here with Ocon. And Ocon gets just bullied off the track. That's unfortunate. That is an unfortunate thing that happened to Ocon. And I'm going to put him to neutral here so he can try and get away from Sainz. I do like that they are more aggressive with, you know, getting overtakes done in corners. But at the same time right now, they are... It feels very random if you are getting pushed off the track. And there needs to be some penalties for doing so. There needs to be a player command for, you know, drive cleanly or get your elbows out. That sort of thing. Okay, rain is beginning. And my game is chugging because it's changing conditions. It is going up fairly quick here, I'll be honest, as Gasly goes up into second place here. I think we do one more lap, but it is going up really quick. Like, it's up to 0.40 here within this lap alone. That is pretty quick increase, if you ask me. I could try and get Ocon in on this lap. Norris is actually pitting. Ocon is a little bit further behind, so let's gamble with him. With Gasly, I'm going to have him push one more lap here. It's probably going to be a little bit too much, but I think it could work out just fine for us, and that's kind of what I'm banking on. Gasly is getting held up, though, I feel, by Porsche, who has inter tires. That's kind of weird. Or he was just slow. We'll see. He is in the pits now. Ocon is currently running 5th. Where is the others? Norris is coming down the main straight. He's going to blast past. That's fine. But he is going to come out in 2nd place. And with a chance to chase down Norris by the end of this. So the pit stops worked fine here. I do feel like the car that we were stuck behind a little bit there did slow us down a tad. But not enough that it should really matter, let's be honest. But let's see what we can do now. We have Gasly out, 2 seconds by Norris. Can we chase him down? Ocon ahead of Sainz, which is what we like to see. And with Russell's mechanical fault evolving, that could kind of decide this race, I think. So far, we are clear of Piastri. I don't think we are going to be faster than Norris around here. This is not really a track that favors our car too much. We are gaining on him, though. And with that, we might be able to force a bit of an overtake here, maybe. Let's see what Gasly can pull off here. He tried. He was looking for it. The main concern we're trying to pull off an overtake here is actually going to be not really tire temp, but energy. And right now we're using a lot of energy just to stay with him. Main straight is going to be probably our final opportunity here. Yeah. The helicopter camera is actually pretty good. Like, it isn't chugging as hard as the other camera angles. And we do actually get the overtake done there. Amazing. Good work, Gasly. We'll take that. Supposed to be heavy raining in 3 minutes. We actually gonna go wets? No. Most likely not. Oh, it switched again. Norris is also coming back at us, so this is gonna be a fight till the end, I think. Question now is, what can Ocon do? Can he actually catch up? Looks like he is catching Leclerc, but that's basically just because Leclerc had a bad lap. I think Ocon is unfortunately going to finish 5th, but as it stands, both of our cars are beating their respective Red Bull. And right there, we did bully Norris off the track before I pressed 3 times. That's beautiful. Go on, Gasly, get your elbows out. Yeah, I hate when that happens to me. Love when it happens to others. But with things as they are now, Piastri could potentially overtake us. I'm not going to lie. Piastri is fairly quick. And currently, he is running right behind. I think Gasly got it, though. Well, what's going to be more interesting is to see if Ocon can get Leclerc. Because he is getting closer to that overtake distance. And with just a couple laps to go, that's going to be difficult. No, don't bully Piastri. Piastri was needed as defense, Gasly. That's not how you do things. I think this is when we start deploying. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected here. We did get a re-overtaken. Can't really do anything either because we don't really have any energy here to come back. But if Ocon can get the Ferrari here, that kind of makes up for it. And again, we just don't have energy to push here.
This is the final lap.
That is our main concern. Go on, Ocon. Get Leclerc. Tires are severely overheating, yes, but that's not a concern. You just need to survive 1 lap, so that should not be a problem. Unfortunately, though, it looks like Leclerc has done just about enough here to get away. And Gasly might even be in danger of getting overtaken by Piastri more so than doing the overtake himself.
Copy.
Yeah, that's still a good one. I believe in terms of points, we end up basically equal. No winner, no loser.
Okay, Pierre, that's the checkered.
And we'll take that. It's a good recovery also from Gasly. That gives me hope for the race, going from 14th to 2nd. So our qualifying pace is definitely, you know, not our real pace. But again, this is also something I would like to just mention again with the DRS. The DRS is very powerful for getting overtakes done, yes. But on the flip side, it's also extremely powerful when it comes to qualifying. So having a DRS that is slightly weaker than the rest of the grid, while still having a car that surpasses them in cornering, can be huge just for getting that extra confidence build up. Now, you could argue that, oh, if Gasly didn't qualify 14th, he might have been able to beat Norris. Yes, that is true. But I don't think Gasly would have been able to get up on the podium if he didn't have that confidence buff from the get-go. Let's be honest. Ocon didn't, and he ended up 5th here. He did have a couple of, you know, unfortunate incidents. But even then, I think my philosophy here is just that try and keep your DRS slightly behind the rest, qualify slightly worse, and take advantage of that in that sense. Now, we are getting heavy rain, and we are actually starting qualifying here on the inters. We're actually going to use an older set of inters because I think we don't need to struggle here. Honestly, though, the race weekend is going to be, like the race itself is going to be dry. But we might need more Inter tires, and particularly having a fresh one for Q3 would be better. But to be fair, Inters are so durable that it doesn't really matter much anyways. I'm going to jump into qualifying here. I'm going to get it sorted, and we'll see where we end up on the grid. Because of the wet qualifying, we had some interesting stuff happen. In particular, the fact that Piastri is down in 7th. Drugovich put it on pole. Russell in 3rd place. Hulkenberg in 4th. And honestly, a pretty terrible last attempt here from Gasly's good 6, 7 tenths behind his teammate. But yeah, Drugovich just had a flyer. And as you can see, the Red Bulls 8th and out in Q1. This is going to be a interesting race where we once again have an opportunity, but this is also just due to flawed AI logic where they just don't do a second lap in the wet sometimes. And in this case, it's just made a very weird grid. That doesn't make sense if you remember some of the grids from earlier, particularly the Mercedes has not been doing well this season. The RB, it's been there, but not doing well enough to put it on, you know, top 4. So you kind of get an idea. And also, I do need to admit here, I did forget to change up the setup between sprint and race quali. I do tend to forget that. It's a bad flaw of mine, I guess you could say. And let's see, what can we actually do around Austria? Do we have any interesting strategies to come up with? We do have tires available to mess around with. So what I'm thinking is maybe we do something like this. How would that look? Would be faster than this one, but I'm actually kind of tempted here. Can I do... Yeah, there's just no point. Degradation is just so high around here that even if I run it more conservative, for the mediums, it's not really going to matter much. But as you can see, just running it on for the softs can be a huge benefit. This could work. It's the kind of standard strategy that works kind of everywhere. You'd use 2 line softs and then fit a medium in the middle with whatever you need to make it work. This one seems to be faster though, just 2 mediums. I think we'll do this one. It is the faster on paper. Although, to be fair, this one does have a little bit more leeway. And it is just 2 seconds between them. So they're probably... The reality of the situation is probably going to be that they're equal in pace. But this one comes with the benefit of, you know that your tires are not going to get cold, basically. So we're going to do this one. And I think we'll just do the same for Gasly. We'll put him on a similar strategy. He actually has 2 hard tires. Can we do something interesting with 2 hard tires? Because hard tire degradation is usually less around here. Unfortunately, Ocon does not have the same. Let's compare that to, say, the medium here, which again was 2 seconds earlier. This is now 4 seconds. I think this is what we do. It makes more sense. Yeah, that sounds fun. Let's go with it. We're of course going to underfuel as people are working in at light speed. Excuse me. At light speed in the background. Let's go ahead and get the underfuel in and we will start the race here. Unless something interesting happens, I think we need to speed up because I spent a lot of time getting the sprint done. Probably more so than I should have, I'll be honest. But let's see what we can do. Let's see both of our cars. We see a Mercedes. And I'm still just going to stick with high overtake aggression because, again, I just don't feel we are getting into incidents this year in this game. And it's kind of weird. Gasly already here, making a bit of an improvement, getting Hülkenberg. And I think he might also get the Mercedes here with ease. The best thing that could actually happen for us now is that we do get the Mercedes and we start creating a little bit of gap because Russell has already fallen out of the DRS from the cars ahead. And that's kind of what I'm saying here. These cars aren't quick. They're actually pretty slow. And Piastri has immediately developed a failure. That's not good. But yeah, I want Gasly here to push, get away from Russell, get away from Hülkenberg, and if he can, get out of the DRS range. Doesn't seem like that's really going to happen, though. As Ocon and Drugovich are fighting, and Ocon just sends him to the Shadow Realm, because why not? And that... Oh my god. Yeah, no! Oh my god! Man went from 1st to 20th by being bullied off track in the first couple of laps. That's actually sad. It's just straight up sad rather than anything else. It's not savage. It's really savage, let's be honest, but it's just sad that the game allows you to do that, particularly here in Austria. I feel like it's really bad. I want a order that is just straight up stick to the inner line. Like, defend the inside. Give me that order, because pushing people to the outside here is diabolical. But yeah, Gasly, Piastri, if all of them actually end up fighting a lot here, that would actually benefit Ocon quite a bit. So we'll just keep things as they are for now, as I feel like Gasly might have pushed someone else out, off the track there. But Norris is struggling. He's up in 11th, but as long as he's stuck in this DRS train, I'll be very, very happy. So Gasly has picked up some underfloor damage here, as he has been bullied. Gasly's mechanical fault has evolved, which is not great. I'd like to see a replay of that if I could, but looks like we're not getting it. So basically, Gasly was running with Sainz and Piastri, and then he got bullied onto the gravel in turn, what would this be? Turn 4. And as a result, we now have underfloor damage, and a Gasly that is probably not going to be very happy. Well, his confidence is still high, so could still make a bit of a comeback. But he did lose a good 45 seconds between Piastri and Sainz, which again is not great. But this is also kind of a issue that particularly shows itself in Austria. We bullied someone, now we're getting bullied back. Let's see if we can survive the rest of this race without getting bullied too much. There's a funny thing, there is 2 pairs of DRS drivers ahead of us. They're gonna bully each other, and that's gonna be advantageous to us. Let's see if we can actually take advantage of Piastri and Sainz's bullying, and if Piastri's gonna end up DNFing today, or if Hamilton and Russell's bullying is gonna get bad enough for us to get an advantage. Looks like it kind of did though, to be fair, since this already created a gap between them. Also, while we're here, let's take a look and see exactly what is Piastri's problem, because depending on what is hit, he could DNF. Now, DRS is not really a DNFable component, so he should be fine, as Gasly is now getting closer and closer to Russell, and looks like the rest are planning to pit ahead of us, which kind of makes sense. They are generally going to be going with more aggressive strategies, but what we're also seeing here, if you look at Gasly's tire strategy here, is that degradation is less than we expected. So for Gasly, this is going to work out great, and for Ocon, this is probably also going to work out pretty well. So all in all, things are looking really, really good right now, as Gasly gets DRS and just flies by Russell in the most one of the most dominating displays of just getting away from another driver I've seen. 8 tenths ahead now. Russell is catching up with DRS, but I think Gasly will get away from him in the long term, and if not, we're going to catch Hamilton anyways, who's actually taking really good care of his tires. Is he going for the one-stop strategy here, medium to hard? That would be insane if he is, but we'll see. For now though, we're going to allow things to just progress as we usually do. Piastri, Sainz, and soon to be Hamilton are still fighting. And depending on, again, how the pit stops go, we could find ourselves in an interesting position. The pit stops have begun here, and we have ordered both Gasly and Ocon to push, if you will. Norris has actually caught up with us now, and he's up into 4th position next to Gasly, and Sainz has already pitted. He's gone to a hard tire, so we'll have to see exactly what he's going to do. But I assume he is going to do another stop afterwards. That's what makes sense to me. And Gasly just being on the outside scares me, honestly, my man, so please don't do that. But we are going to be pushing these mediums a little bit into the ground here, and once we come out here, we are going to come out behind Sainz, but most likely ahead of Leclerc, which is going to be the big one. And if I remember correctly, the pit stops around here are 23 seconds. I'm almost 100% sure of that, so we're not going to check. But yeah, we are going to come out behind Sainz, behind Albon, but I don't think that's going to be a huge deal here. It should be a-okay. Now, for Ocon, he's running 8.8. It's actually pretty quick, but as you can see, Gasly and Tsunoda are actually running quicker. Sainz is running a lot quicker. That's just due to degradation. So honestly, let's just get him in here. We don't need to run a tire that's already busted, so to speak. And honestly, with the degradation that we've seen here, we're going to do the same for Gas. So we're just going to get him in. He can run that hard tire on basically full attack it for the entirety of the stint. That should be pretty quick. I'm just going to double check it with Gas. Can we do, let's say, would running aggressive save us time? Not really. We're just going to stick with what we're doing. That's going to be the plan there. Now, as I mentioned here, for Ocon, the only thing we care about is coming out ahead of Leclerc, which we are going to do. And we should have no problem clearing the cars ahead of us. So I'm perfectly fine with the situation. Ocon has a clean 2.4 second stop. Gasly has a clean 2.7 second stop. He's going to come out behind Leclerc, but he too has a fairly nice gap here of free air to work with, as Ocon immediately gets the overtake done on Albon and can now start chasing down Norris ahead of him. So it's not a bad situation that we find ourselves in currently. We still have great opportunities. Let's see if we can take advantage of them. Ocon has done a great job here, made his way up into second place. He is a good 4 seconds behind Sainz, but that's not really a huge deal here. We're a second a lap faster at the moment, so we are catching. And Hamilton is definitely trying a one-stopper here. There's no doubt in my mind. He's still on those medium tires. He's gone 30 laps on them. It could work out for him. Gasly here, he is still in a nice position. He is currently chasing down Piastri. Most likely he's going to be fighting Piastri for fourth or so. We have Norris on a fresh tyre. He might also try a one-stop strategy. Yes, he sent someone to the shadow realm there. But he might also try a one-stopper if he is brave. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how that pans out. But for now, he's actually squished in behind Bottas and Alonso. So he's losing a lot of time. And that is what I like to see. Although Alonso might have just gotten bullied a little bit, bullied enough there that Norris will get the overtake done with the help of DRS. And it's like that is exactly what is going to happen here. As we have closed down the gap to Sainz to just 2 seconds, Ocon looking good. And for Gasly here, things are looking good as well. I don't think anything is particularly going to happen here. We're just going to manage for now. And there isn't really much to do in terms of managing. It's just making sure that we don't, crash. And I can't really manage that. So yeah, let's just see if we can keep the cars on track until we get to the next pit stop. Gasly did get the overtake on Leclerc. Leclerc is still staying within DRS though, which is impressive. Particularly on older mediums. But I don't think it's a bad thing for us to pull. Let's be honest here. I don't think it's a bad idea for us to pull Leclerc along. Because Hamilton is one, but Norris is the other one. The further Norris ends up here, further down the order, that is, that Norris ends up, the better for us. And I would love... Yes! Go on, Ocon. Get the elbows out. Send Sainz to the Shadow Realm. Let me get back on track here. The further Leclerc is ahead of Norris, the better for us. We might be digging our own grave here by, helping Leclerc, who's currently on ailing tires, ahead. But I think it's going to get paid back to us in the long term. That's kind of what I'm kind of banking on. And for Ocon here now, we also do want to use a little bit of deploy. I actually deployed the wrong car. I wanted to deploy with Ocon to get away from Sainz. But instead, I deployed with Gasly and got away from Leclerc. And honestly, at this point, that's fine. But still, that was not what I wanted to do. We also do have a couple of potential problem children here. Like Schumacher hasn't done anything yet. So we'll have to see if we how that turns out. But for now, things are very, very stable, and I think we'll just keep things as they are until we get to that final pit stop. We just had Sainz in the pits here, and he was about 8 seconds behind Ocon. So what I think we're going to do here is we're going to pit Ocon now. We've had him just kind of go as long as we could here in order to kind of try and build an advantage over Sainz. It has definitely worked, I dare say. And we're probably also going to go ahead and here now and get Gas into the pits, because there's no point in keeping him out any longer than we already are. And as I mentioned it, we had 8 seconds on Sainz, so unless something terrible happens here, we should be able to get out ahead of him comfortably. Clean stop there, which is good. Gasly comes in. Sainz is currently running through the final corner and the straight, but Ocon is out. He is out in the lead. He's out on the same tire. And honestly, what we need to do here now is probably just manage these mediums a little bit. So we're going to push them until they're up to temperature, and then we shall deal with them. Unfortunately, I didn't pay attention there to Gasly's stop, which is a little bit unfortunate. But again, the fight that Gasly has is going to be mainly with Leclerc, and then it's actually going to be to see if we can catch Hamilton by the end of this. So Yeah, he's going to have a little bit of a fight ahead of him. Norris the same. Norris and Hamilton are probably going to go to the end on these tires, which, again, is huge. Let's see how exactly that plays out. For Ocon now, we're actually just going to run him light. And if we get caught by Norris, Sainz, or anyone, it's just building a tire advantage, staying within DRS until the end of the race. You could say that this is a little bit of a boring strategy. But with both Sainz and Norris running together, I think we need to build a tire offset if we want to win here, and that's kind of what I'm going to try to do. If we get cold tires over, we're of course going to turn it up to standard. But for the time being, this should be an acceptable compromise, is what I'm thinking. Currently, though, we do have 4 seconds, and as I mentioned here, if Sainz wants to chase me down, fine, but it's going to cost you. You are going to be using so much more tire than we are, that by the end of this, we're just gonna sail past you with no worries at all. However, the temperature is going to become an issue here. We've gone down to 88, and we're gonna probably just run standard till the end. I think that is a good way to do it. And with a 6% offset, we are actually gaining right now, or extending rather. The other issue that I can see happening is that we might get a safety car. There are 2 cars here that can potentially DNF. Let's check here. If you have DNF potential, you do. That's your engine, and I believe Stroll is the other one. That's the RS. So it's just one car with DNF potential. But if it happens at a bad place, it could definitely cause a bit of a problem for the race. And as I mentioned, the problem child hadn't done anything yet. Schumacher. He must have like a +10 to incidents or something, because something happens every race. In this case, though, just a simple lockup, but he does need to get his cameo basically every episode at this point. For Gasly, we are still pushing, but we are kind of actually slower than Leclerc at the moment. We are catching up, however, with just 12 seconds behind Norris at this point. And with 15 laps to go, it's probably going to be rough to catch him. But if we do, that would actually be kind of huge. It's kind of very unfortunate that Gasly did pick up that underflow damage, as it would be at least a little bit quicker without it. Now that we're just going to speed things up, there's not really much I can do here from a management perspective, just keeping an eye on the numbers basically. Sainz is pushing a little bit more right now, and Gasly is actually getting into a position where we would like to try and push for an overtake. The issue with that is just straight up the fact that it is the back mark is getting, reached here. It's giving Leclerc DRS with it's just giving, the best part here is it's giving Leclerc DRS while we are losing time. Like, Leclerc is getting every helping hand in the book here thrown at him while we are struggling, but we have closed the gap to cars in front. It's not enough that I think that we'll catch Norris at this pace. We need to be a little bit quicker. We do have energy, but I'd like to save that for now and use later on. But yeah, it is looking a little bit worrisome. Fuel-wise, we should be fine. You get about 0.2 to 0.3 a lap back. So within 5 laps time, we should be back on the positive side, which means we might have a little bit of fuel to work with here. I'm actually going to go ahead and deploy here, get ourselves ahead of Hamilton, because I don't want to fight Leclerc here if I can avoid it. And we can, of course, just do a couple of harvest laps behind the other Ferrari if we need to. But I want to catch up to Hamilton here, and I want to get away from Hamilton as well. So let's save a little bit of energy. We are probably going to catch Norris by the end of this, though. It's 5 seconds now. We gained almost 2 seconds on that last lap. Do that a couple of times, and again, a full ERS store is basically 3 to 5 seconds gained. So with that in mind, we are actually within range at the moment. And that is going to be huge. So I think we are fine. Now, if we again beat both Red Bulls at their home turf, I'm going to be ecstatic, honestly. I'm going to be very, very happy if we take out, well, not take out, but beat both Red Bulls. We're also dancing within the edge of a DRS here. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and deploy here. And we're going to see if we can make it past Hamilton, although Leclerc is being a little bit of a nuisance there. Shadow Realm next. Nope. Hamilton is also gaining on Norris. Kind of. So where we find ourselves is not necessarily a bad place at the moment. It's actually decent enough. Did not get the DRS on the main straight, okay. Getting DRS up the hill, and this is where I want to get the overtake done, if I can. There we go. That was a lot better. I think we are gonna just keep the deployer for a little bit here because I don't want the DRS switch back and forth. It seems to generally just be losing a lot of time in this game compared to previous years' games, so DRSing back and forth off each other was actually a really, really good idea, as the passes were generally very, very clean. And due to that, you would end up not really losing a lot of time. Thank you to, I assume that was Drugovic, for the DRS there. Very, very nice. 5 laps to go, 1.5 seconds. What I think we do here is we deploy. We catch up to Norris, and we recharge behind him for a lap or two. Recharge behind him, cool the tires, overtake him with tire advantage towards the end. I think that is going to be how we play this. Because as soon as we have recharge here, we should be able to just fly by him. And honestly, we could potentially send him to Shadow Realm there too, but... Oh, we did! Norris has been sent to the Shadow Realm and he falls down to 5th. Maybe even 6th. Oh, by God, he's broken in half. Again, I don't feel like it's fair, but it's still... It feels like cheating, I'll be honest. It feels like cheating to put someone on the gravel without being punished for it. And again, at Austria, it happens so much. It's basically the Austria special. Gravel. So... It is what it is, but that, I think, has kind of decided this race in our favor. 1st and 3rd, which would be probably an insane... Again, the game estimation before this race was you're going to end up 13th and 14th. So, a little bit off, particularly when it comes to the player input. Austria is kind of interesting in the sense that it is just one big DRS zone. Basically, this is the only part where you can break free from other cars, and you are going to need a tire offset for it. I am worried now for Ocon, though. Sainz is gaining.
Okay, so no lift and coast required.
As Sainz is gaining on us, however, we are in trouble now. He gets the overtake done. And I'm a little bit late on the trigger here. We should have been deploying at the start of the lap. The back market behind us saying Aston definitely helped with having Sainz catch up to us. And honestly, the Aston at this point is faster than us. He should be allowed to overtake. But I make a terrible mistake. The win is lost due to that terrible mistake. And as you can probably imagine by now, this is a voiceover afterward. For some reason, the audio for the last 5 minutes here got cancelled out. But I failed. We lost our first place finish due to Sainz just overtaking us on the final lap. It's solely on me. Had I gone attack and deploy earlier, we would have been able to secure the win here. And instead of increasing our World Championship gap, we end up just barely staying ahead. What should have been a win here, and then 25 points for us, which would be 7 points up on Sainz, ends up instead being, well, 8 points favor of Sainz instead. That is kind of a terrible thing. But yeah, it's basically just me having a Ferrari strategy moment where I did not go attack, where I did not go deploy, and lost an easy win for it. Please forgive me, Flu, for I have sinned in the ways of Ferrari. Ferrari did also do fairly well here. The only solace that we have this race is the fact that Norris ended up 7th with 6 points. And in total here, 32 points versus 33. We are 1 point ahead. Driver championship wise, we end up with both of our drivers getting 22 points here, equal. We are still 1-2. Piastri lost out a little bit here, which is huge for us. Constructors, we just gained a single point on Red Bull, but let's face it, we were supposed to end 13th and 14th. We'll take this result, but it is frustrating that we could have extended that gap by about 10 points instead of just a 1 point that we ended up getting. It's a tad frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. The front wing has been manufactured, suspension has been researched, and we're just going to do a couple of replacements here. The rear wings have been failing. We need to manufacture new ones. And also, of course, that damaged underfloor that we had needs to be replaced. It's going to start manufacturing a new one. In terms of research, I'm just sticking with what we are doing here. We're going to keep a project running on sideboards and chassis as much as possible. And that is exactly what we are going to do here. We're going to be focusing cooling and airflow middle, although I did go drag reduction first. That is it sorted. And we do need to keep cooling up going into next season. Yeah, that is basically it for this episode, I think. Unfortunately, I don't really have much time for much more, I'll be honest. And with that said, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully there'll be more content this next week compared to this week. It's been really lackluster. Maybe a little bit more monkey king guides. I'll try and maybe stream tomorrow if I have time. I'm still a little bit pressed for it, but I think we are going to try and do monkey stream tomorrow and maybe end ready sometime early next week. I do want to get back into the streaming. It's fun. It's good to talk to everyone, but at the same time right now, as I mentioned, it's just been me being a tad tired. So hope you still enjoyed, and I hope to see you around next time. Hope you still enjoyed, and yeah, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye bye.